Preston and I are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the night we first met.
You mean when you thought he was going to push you up against the wall and rape you?
I've never known what that's about. Welcome to In Defense Of, making the case for overlooked, forgotten or derided movies in 5 minutes or less. If you don't have 5 minutes, here's 5 seconds. Help me! Today, In Defense Of, Tales from the Darkside the movie, a 1990 horror anthology that many think of as Creepshow 3.
I loathe Zuni aesthetics.
As young captive Timmy waits to be cooked and eaten by a suburban witch, he buys time by telling her 3 tales of terror. An Egyptian mummy turns agent of vengeance for an irked academic. An industrialist hires a hitman to eliminate a 4-legged friend before it kills again. And an artist struggles to sit on the secret memory of a monstrous murder.
That cat has killed 3 people in this household.
I love anthology movies. I think what attracts me is the potential for vastly different elements to be housed under a single roof, a variety show flaunting the range of its chosen genre. It's a quality I've always liked about Italian rip-off movies where they try and include their own versions of whatever's hot at the time whether they make sense or not, or full moon flicks where they throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Tales from the Darkside is the product of a very specific era of anthology output, when horror icons George Romero and Stephen King teamed up to make Creepshow, an anthology film inspired by the darkly humorous EC comics of the 1950s. They spawned more than just a sequel. Unable to transfer the Creepshow rights to TV, Romero pressed on with the same format under a different title. Tales from the Darkside. This in turn was succeeded by Monsters, more of the same with some minor tweaks. Meanwhile, numerous other anthologies came and went until some serious Hollywood players secured the rights to make television adaptations of those EC comics that were the seed of it all. Being on premium cable channel HBO meant Tales from the Crypt could show and say whatever it wanted. It was a huge success, the freedom of expression attracting talent the likes of which TV of the day could only dream of. It's at this point that Tales from the Darkside reappeared, now on the big screen and with a stacked roster of its own. The returning Romero and King brought in Beetlejuice scribe Michael McDowell, adapted from some classy source material on Arthur Conan Doyle and ancient Japanese folklore. Stellar Effects House K&B were on board too, delivering a monster and centerpiece gore effect for each of the 3 sequences. Longtime Romero cohort John Harrison directs each segment in vastly different styles, serving to accentuate the variety of stories on offer here. You'd be forgiven for thinking each episode was helmed by different crew. Harrison is responsible for the wonderful Creepshow theme, directing the well-received TV version of Dune, and writing the oft-forgotten Disney entry Dinosaur. The man's got range. As for acting aptitude, we've got Christian Slater at the height of his post-Heather's powers, a debuting Julianne Moore, and pre-Tarantino indie darling Steve Buscemi. The Mummy itself is played by Mike Deak, not a mainstream name, but I love the man because he's inside every monster that matters. Based on allegedly the first reanimated Egyptian mummy story ever written, Lot 249 is a brisk revenge tale set in a dusty old college. If you've ever wanted to see Julianne Moore cut open and stuffed with flowers, haven't we all? Here's your chance. Croaky Hollywood veteran William Hickey heads up the Cat from Hell segment, which can only afford flashback sequences to the librarian from Ghostbusters and the future Hector Salamanca. Don't know who this guy is though. He's one of the ghosts in Scrooge, but I don't reckon. Oh, he's the lead singer of the New York Dolls, one of the most important bands ever. Fair enough. The weakest sequence in terms of entertainment, it's shot wonderfully, and the finale is probably the highlight of the movie. James Remar delivers the standout performance here. An accomplished actor who potentially missed out in the big time when he was replaced in Aliens by Michael Biehn, he's effective as an impulsive, starving artist who can't move past a traumatic event, even as he attains commercial success and starts a family. Lover's Vow is fondly remembered as the gargoyle segment, adapted beyond recognition from an old Japanese folktale previously seen in another anthology horror, Kwaidan. Combining this sort of mythic fable with a contemporary New York setting and a killer gargoyle makes for something truly unusual. Its uniqueness alone makes this my favourite segment. There should be more gargoyle movies. No, I mean good gargoyle movies.
Your life in exchange for a promise.
Tales from the Darkside is more concerned with being good than scary. An odd criticism to make perhaps, as I don't believe that horror movies have to actually be horrifying to be good, but Tales from the Crypt has some genuinely terrifying episodes, and the inferior Creepshow 2 has the thrilling raft segment. There's no reason why Tales from the Darkside couldn't have had a tense moment or two. Arthur Conan Doyle wrote Lot 249 in 1892, so it's a period piece and the film reflects that well. Lots of outdated collegiate fare on display here, dusty rooms and archaic fashion. Then Julianne Moore shows up and suddenly we're blasted back to the 1980s. Why was the story updated to modern times? The segment does a super job of looking antiquated. It's like the filmmakers changed their minds halfway through. The only reason I can think of is for this gag with the electric knife. So many anthology movies, so little time. Here's a favourite, Asylum. British studio Amicus were pumping out great anthologies before horror changed direction. They did their own EC Comics movies before everyone else. Asylum features a diverse array of stories, including a bizarre killer toy segment that I will love forever, and one hell of a twist ending.
The most exciting film you'll ever see.
By the mid-1990s, the anthology concept had waned in popularity as shows like The X-Files demonstrated the possibility of slotting in Monster of the Week anthology-style stories into an ongoing larger arc that kept audiences engaged. Anthologies since have been a mixed bag, with genuine successes rare. Tales from the Darkside is a success, with style and talent in abundance both on-screen and off. If nothing else, it deserves to be remembered for its gargoyle. In the past, I've mentioned my love of production company idents. I love these things, and I love that other people do too. Huge compilations of them can be found all over YouTube. I'm not really familiar with Tales from the Darkside production company J&M Entertainment, but they have a lovely ident.